Welcome. I'm so glad to be back with you. Every story you're about to hear is real, terrifying, and sent in by listeners just like you. So, turn off the lights, wrap yourself in a blanket, grab some snacks. You're in for a night of true horror. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It truly helps and inspires us to bring you even more chilling tales. Are you ready? Then settle in, because it's time for the long-awaited scary stories for a rainy evening. We didn't know why. All the research and preparation seemed flawless in theory, but they screamed. Every time we injected the serum into the corpse, the body violently came back to life. If not strapped down, it thrashed uncontrollably and screamed until it died again. I worked at a facility specializing in life extension, death, and the possible revival of dead tissue. We had developed a new compound capable of restoring and regenerating damaged cells to full viability. All trials on animals were astounding. Their lifespans extended for years, and in some cases, we even brought them back after recent death. One rabbit who came to us at 12 years old lived another 10 in the lab. Confident in our progress, we began discussing human trials. Before testing on living volunteers, we wanted to bring back the recently deceased. We submitted requests for cadavers, pushed through mounds of paperwork and bureaucracy, and eventually established a steady supply of preserved bodies. All had died from known illnesses and were donated to science. We made sure the brain hadn't fully decayed, so we only used bodies no older than 3 to 5 days, maximum 1 week. The first trial was a disaster. Normally, when we administered the serum to an animal, the body twitched slightly and then opened its eyes as if waking up. One test dog even wagged its tail at the sight of us. But with the first human subject, there was no sign of joy whatsoever. We laid the man on the table, covering him with a sheet out of respect. We injected the serum at the base of the skull and waited, usually 30 seconds, maybe a minute, for the serum to begin repairing neural tissues. According to theory, we should awaken a conscious, albeit brain-dead person. We hoped to see a fully restored human being. We were wrong on both counts. The body tensed, then a wave of movement rippled through it, from the neck down to the arms and feet, as though the soul had slid back into flesh. Fingers gripped the edge of the table, the head jerked violently, every muscle convulsed in chaotic spasms. The heart monitor sprang to life, pumping newly regenerated blood. We watched in awe. Boy, we had done it. Suddenly it sat up, its torso shot upright like a snap trap, its face twisted, mouth wide open, eyes bulging, nostrils flaring. And then came the scream. It was a distorted wail that not otherworldly, though it might have seemed that way because the sound tore through vocal cords and esophagus alike under intense strain. It was the cry of something trying to escape with every fiber of its being. It filled the room, vibrated in glass beakers, pierced through me, and probably everyone else present. The scream peaked as the body convulsed. Hands clawed at its own flesh as if something invisible squeezed it from within. Legs trembled, desperately trying to run, then suddenly twisted sideways. A cracking sound announced a shattered pelvis. The body slumped, fell off the table, and its head hit the cold floor with a wet slap. The scream lingered for 5 more weak seconds before ending in a broken whimper. The revived blood spread from the cracked skull, the leg bent at an unnatural angle. The sound that came from this corpse resembled what I imagine it would be like to burn someone alive, or tear them apart. I don't know what that sounds like, but I can guess now. I wanted to stop everything immediately, but the others insisted. We had made a breakthrough and needed to see it through. With the second subject, we took no chances. We tightly strapped him to the table. Another man, mid-40s, died of a heart attack. My own body clenched in anticipation. Injection. And again, small twitches turned into violent spasms. Bound by restraints around his limbs and forehead, he couldn't escape, but he never stopped screaming. No earplugs could save us from the guttural roars and shrieks tearing from his throat. The table shook violently, the straps cutting into freshly revived flesh. Bleeding anew between screams and convulsions, his mouth snapped shut repeatedly until his tongue was bitten and torn apart. Less than a minute after revival, the subject choked on his own blood. We were only supposed to intervene if the subject could be calmed. If they died again, the company simply sent new bodies and more money. It didn't matter gender, ethnicity, build, age, health, or cause of death. They all came back screaming. After weeks of what could only be described as unholy experiments, we started looking for ways to calm and prolong life after reanimation. One experiment stood out. We deliberately severed the vocal cords of a cadaver beforehand, hoping to mute the inevitable scream. She was a middle-aged woman, already pale from death. When she awoke, tears were already in her eyes, as if her mind remembered something her body had not yet caught up to. Her breathing was fast and shallow, turning into panicked, raspy sobs. Wet, desperate gasps for air, like someone drowning in the open sea. Though she couldn't scream, the sounds were worse. Muffled groans escaped from her damaged throat, each a gurgling echo of pain that sent chills through everyone in the room. The sound of agony, of disbelief, of sorrow, of recognition. Her eyes darted, bloodshot and full of terror, clinging to each of us as if begging for help or mercy, or perhaps both. She tried to lift her hands, but the straps held her. Instead, her body writhed, convulsively shivering, silently twisting in torment. Tears flowed freely, trembling on her cheeks. We had taken away her voice, but not her pain. In fact, quite the opposite. Watching her suffer without being able to scream was far worse. The room was filled with breath, Jessica, and something else, a low, involuntary moan from one of the assistants who curled into a corner and couldn't bear to watch. The subject was humanely terminated. The effects on staff became obvious. Conversations shortened, small talk disappeared. Laughter vanished. Jokes over coffee about playing God felt monstrous, dangerous to say aloud. Soon silence became the norm. We only spoke when necessary, strictly about work. Each day we came in, conducted tests, recorded results, and left. No questions asked. The camaraderie formed during animal trials dissolved. The sense of triumph, of being close to something great, was replaced by a quiet horror. Resignation letters were submitted quietly, one after another. There were no goodbyes, just empty chairs one morning. New employees arrived with gleam in their eyes, but that quickly faded. Due to confidentiality agreements, I couldn't contact those who left. I don't know what happened to most of them, but I remember one, Daniel, a close friend. In the last few weeks, he barely spoke, barely ate. One day, he simply didn't come in. Then I saw the news. He jumped off the roof of his building. I thought about leaving. I really did. But the salary increase was too generous. The results never changed. Every subject screamed, howled, or fought furiously before dying, or until we ended their suffering. With management approval, we started exploring unconventional answers. We turned to pseudoscience, religious doctrines, anything that might offer clues beyond scientific understanding. Invited specialists received outrageous sums and swore absolute secrecy. Eventually, threats followed. One hypnotist, eccentric with tired eyes and steady hands, was meant to calm subjects by putting them in trance and reviving the brain in stages, keeping the rest asleep. At first, it seemed promising. We conducted countless sessions, and one day, after several attempts in a dose of sedatives strong enough to drop an elephant, the subject stirred quietly under hypnosis. A breath, soft, ragged, forced through clenched teeth. Then a single word. Why? Almost inaudible. Almost a whisper, a tremble of soul from confusion and grief. And then the scream returned, even wilder and fiercer. The subject thrashed so hard the straps cut into bone. The hypnotist never showed up again. She didn't even collect her fee. After her, we finally gave up completely. We brought in a priest, elderly, with cautious manner. None of us were superstitious, but something in those screams eroded rationality, stripping away detachment. It felt like each revived corpse peeled away another layer of our humanity, leaving behind an empty, trembling shell. The priest performed a full exorcism ritual over the reanimated body. Holding a cross over his chest, he recited Latin prayers in a shaking voice. Strangely, the body reacted. It tensed, muscles turned to steel cables, but didn't scream at first. The priest's words seemed to calm it. Briefly, then the corpse lunged upward, ripping the table bolts from the floor and charging forward. The priest barely dodged, escaping injury. What followed wasn't panic, but rage. He shouted at us, eyes wild. "You are pulling sinners from hell. You are causing torment, not salvation." His voice cracked and echoed terrifyingly with the screams we knew too well. Then he left, stormed out of the lab, and never returned. Since then, each session was conducted with armed guards present, though soon after sessions became rare. For the final attempt, we abandoned mysticism and dove into even more eccentric science. We selected an elderly subject, over 90, died naturally, peacefully, without trauma. We surgically separated his spinal cord from the base of the brain, completely removing mobility and speech. The body was paralyzed, but vital functions remained intact. We connected a neurointerface, an experimental chip, to the brainstem and visual cortex, linked to a computer in an adjacent room. The program translated neural impulses into text. Only a few of us remained. We sat silently behind thick glass, dim monitor lights, casting shadows on our faces. In the room with the subject was only a guard, ordered to terminate the object if necessary. We administered the serum and waited. No convulsions, no twisted limbs, no horrifying sounds. Just the soft beat of a renewed heartbeat and barely noticeable rise and fall of the chest. The silence was so heavy that past screams echoed in memory. On the screen, text appeared. "Where am I?" We froze. Though it was only letters, in my mind I heard a voice. Old, tired, confused. We responded, "Who are you?" "Richard Holloway. And you?" "We want to help, Richard." "How old are you?" 96. "Who are you?" The data matched. Finally, progress. New text appeared. "Is that you?" "Who?" A long pause. "Not him. No, no, no." Richard's pulse quickened. Breathing became rapid. On screen again. "You're not supposed to know." We exchanged glances, unsure what to answer. "You're not supposed to know," he repeated. I looked through the glass. Richard's eyes were open, wide, moist, unblinking. Tears ran down his cheeks, pooling on the bed. "That shouldn't have been possible. He won't let me back. You're not supposed to know." The cursor blinked. I looked at the screen again and saw more. "He won't allow you." Pause. "He won't allow you." Again and again and again. My heart pounded against my ribs in sync with the BPM on the monitor. My breath caught. Then I heard something. Not in my head, a real sound. I looked up. Richard's lips were moving. Impossible. Nerves were severed. His lips parted wider. Sound escaped. Quiet at first, but real. Tangible. "He won't allow you." I froze. Shouldn't have heard it through the glass, but I did. The guard looked at me, waiting for the termination order. I shook my head. Not yet. He won't allow you. The whisper grew louder, stretched and torn from a throat that shouldn't have spoken. He won't allow you. 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 The gunshot was final. Absolute. It echoed through the lab like a hammer striking a coffin lid. Richard's body slumped, frozen in a grimace of wide-open eyes in agony. The guard, trembling, put the weapon away and left without a word. The silence afterward suffocated. I slumped into my chair. The ringing in my ears wasn't from the gunshot. It was from the absence of everything else. No monitors, no voices, no screams, only silence. I didn't know what to write it in the report. I didn't understand what I had seen. The project was officially closed shortly after, deemed unviable. We were generously compensated. Bonuses, severance pay, non-disclosure clauses buried in legal jargon. Enough to disappear, start over, never work again. But money doesn't silence the quiet. I sit alone now, typing these words, surrounded by silence so heavy it feels alive, suffocating, endless. To fill it, my mind replays Richard's voice again and again, clinging to his words. You're still here, or has fear already taken you away? If you haven't yet, leave a like and subscribe. Your support breathes life into the darkest stories. I hope we'll meet again soon. Next time, even darker and more terrifying secrets await you. Come back soon while I prepare new nightmares that will haunt your sleep.